Not only is the intensity comparable between these two, but they smell remarkably similar. This is not going to be as sweet as Witch's Brew has become. Witch's Brew has become a little bit more of this, kind of like a Coca-Cola, little bit of a Coca-Cola profile that sweetens it up in the background. Where I really think Witch's Brew in the earliest days was patchouli hardcore, spiced up with clove and perhaps some other spices, and a little bit. I've always wondered whether it was black licorice or perhaps myrrh inside this candle. I think because myrrh is not popular, not really a popular ingredient for Yankee Candle, that it was probably some form of black licorice that popped up around in those early Witch's Brew candles. But that is the earliest one I own of Witch's Brew. So let's get one more look at that, and I do want to continue. Now, what about candy corn? Candy corn, right? Do candy corn have a release the same year that kind of has the same aesthetic of the label? Well, here's the thing. This took a little time for me to figure out when I was getting into Halloween, Yankee Candle Halloween candles. There has been an evolution of candy corn. Yankee Candle's candy corn was not always called candy corn. It was called trick or treat. Now I know that sounds confusing because we probably are all familiar with the swirl candle, the swirl jar made up of candy corn and buttercream. That is called a trick or treat. It was a fan favorite up until, well, I guess this year. It wasn't released, but brought back this year, but or last year, and but I think it was around 2008. If again, could be off by a year or two with these dates, but I think I've pinpointed these dates close enough where I'm confident enough to say them. 2008, Trick or Treat, the candy corn scent became candy corn. And then Trick or Treat became its own candle, which was the swirl candle. So, yes, this might be the first time some of you seeing this label, or some of you die-hard Yankee Candle fans, you probably are familiar with this candle. But this is a recent acquisition for me. I needed to get this. It is not an unburned candle. As you can see, it has been burned really very in a sloppy fashion. I think someone actually stuck this underneath a lamp because the wick is all out of place. I can reconstruct this, rebuild this. It's going to take some work, but I haven't gotten to it yet. But here it is. So this is not the first ever candy corn Yankee Candle. There was many names that candy corn fragrance went by. Halloween Time was one. Halloween Candy was another. In the 1990s and the 1980s for sure, and then. Perhaps, I've heard some stories, believe it or not, from all people, an associate from Kringle Candle, that there was some 1970s Halloween fragrances. But check that out. So, I know the cat was never named Sophia back in those early days, but I still refer to her as Sophia. That black cat, we may be very familiar with the black cat from the Happy Halloween candle, but really the first appearance was on that Trick or Treat candle. So there is that set, 1999. Bam. All right, let's keep this going. You've seen me do a retrospective of Witch's Brew. I did one last year. I did one the year before, and I was supposed to do one this year again, and I didn't do it. This summer was filled with some other projects, So I never did it. But so just in case I don't get to it this year, let me show you some of the new acquisitions, the new purchases. Unlit 2000. Somebody help me out. This is a 2000. Forgetting the dates now. 2008. Witch's Brew. This was a very unique year. The aesthetics, whoever the artist was for this year, all of the candles had this, you know, I don't know, what do you call that? Retro country, very craft looking label, you know, color pencil, watercolor. Again, we're dealing with those cats, but this kit, it doesn't have the year. Of course, it doesn't have the year, but I was trying to learn. Does anybody know? Anybody know the year here? Loris is in 2005. Okay, that makes sense to me. Although I would never have come up with that in that moment. So thank you, Laura, for saying that. I'm calling you Laura. I mean to call you Laura. Now the I don't have the candy corn that matches this one this year. I do not own that one. I apologize, but I do own this one. 2010, we had a very different look. Again, so, you know, this is why, you know, partially one of the reasons why when people ask me, like, why am I so into Witch's Brew and Yankee Candle Halloween, it's the same, you know, the candy corn and the Witch's Brew every year. Well, they just don't get it, and I understand. But see, through the years, if you were purchasing these candles early 2000s, and then you know, 2010 to 2015, we're really seeing diverse labels. So it was really about getting the different jars. So check this out. In 2010, and this on the internet is so unclear because it's a hologram label, like one of those holograms that you would get in like a pack of baseball cards. There's two images. So let me just see if I can do that. Do you see what's happening? There's a little bit of lag time on my computer, and I can't look at my phone right now because I have it flipped. But we have kind of a medium shot, a torso shot of the witch standing underneath her cauldron, and then a close-up of the witch. And if you've ever seen the film Coraline, same, I believe it was the same director, right, as Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach. It has a very, very Coraline, or even Paranorman, that stop motion animation look, which was really interesting, especially since this was 2010. Now the candy corn, by this time it was not called Trick or Treat anymore. It was called candy corn, and the same thing. This time we have a full body shot of this pumpkin man throwing candy corn in our face. He's kind of in this landscape that reminds me a lot of Beetlejuice, but if we turn, we have a close-up of the jack-o'-lantern's face. So these are some new ones in my collection. I had these when they came out, but of course I burned them, and you know, I never thought back then I would have a Yankee Candle collection. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of my early jars, but I'm happy to have them. And then let's do another comparison. I like this. I'm liking this. And if these look a little dusty, they're not dusty. They're actually coated in sheetrock, because when I put that window in there, I didn't cover anything in the office. I should have, but I threw sheetrock on everything I own, and I'm still cleaning it. This was a candy corn. It's the jack-o'-lantern jar. What year was this? This was 2013. Thank God for the labels on the bottom, because I just don't remember at this point. I did have one of these unlit. You can see this is an empty jar. But I lost it in an earthquake in California, and man, I still have pictures of it. And now that it goes for such an extreme cost on eBay, I mean, this is something you could have bought 5 years ago at a TJ Maxx for $5, $7. But it was from 2013. But now you're looking at like $50 on eBay. But the whole idea of this was that you could stick. Trying to find a light. You could stick. Let's stick. I mean, I do it now. You can put like LED lights in here, or like those battery-powered ones. But when the flame was flickering, when the candle was lit, this is a disaster zone today. Trying to win. How are you guys down there in the comment section? So as this was burning, you would get this nice flicker through the glass. This is a very translucent orange jar, and it's essentially a jack-o'-lantern candle. Instead of the light popping through the eyes and the mouth and nose, you just got the light everywhere else. And it was a really cool effect. And what was even cooler in my mind is that in the same year, Yankee Candle released what I called, I don't know if it was ever called this and I'm stealing it, but I called it the Skello Lantern. And so it was the same thing. Only instead of the jack-o'-lantern face, we had the skeleton face. And although this jar is very opaque, the light did shine through. I remember burning this one. I have a half-burnt one somewhere. I should have it lit. But as that light shines through, you get that dingy mason jar, witch's, apothecary jar look. Again, that was really exciting. I remember when I got the magazine in the mail for those candles. Again, it made you go out and buy the same candle, even though that you probably had this. Like I hear, I don't know how many Yankee Witch's Brews, but I buy one every year because it's all about the tradition and what is it going to look like this year? How is it going to be different? As far as the Witch's Brews, look for my retrospective of Witch's Brew. I did a video that covers them all. I don't want to be repeating myself too much, but check out this Simply Home tumbler. This was 2013, and so this predates. So this, I don't know what kind of blend wax this is, but this is not 100% paraffin. It's obviously a softer wax. So this predates the softer wax Witch's Brews that we saw starting last year. Last year, we had kind of the perfect pillar, and of course we also had, bam, the candy corn as well. Dusty, not dusty, sheetrock. See if we can find a price on these. These were definitely a home goods purchase. There is a price, $4.99. $4.99. If this was, you could even find this on eBay now. It would be scary to think how much somebody would charge you for that. All right, how about this? Who had these? These were introduced in 2000. This one I need help with. Is Laura still in the house? Laura, I mean. I think these were released on several years. Some in retail. 1 year it was released in retail, but then for several following years it was released in non-retail stores like TJ Maxx and stuff. But these were another hologram set. I think this was probably my favorite release ever of Witch's Brew. This is not a doubled image hologram. It's just a three-dimensional 3D effect label, but look at that Witch's Brew. We actually have a Boney Bunch character on the label, but the color combination of the purple and the black was always just, to me, it just felt right. You know, it felt, I mean, you look at these two candles, for example, right? These look, you would imagine in your mind, these would just smell like completely different scents. But to me, this label was always on the mark. It's hard to see, but in the back we have an old, haunted, decrepit house with some vampire bats. We have some very Tim Burton-esque trees that are right next to our Boney Bunch character. And again, monstrously, explosively aromatic. Witch's Brew, you could probably give to your like, I could give to my grandchildren. And I think it would still be an effective candle. It would still smell, at least smelling it cold. Those candles are just monsters. They're beasts. The candy corn equivalent, another one that I lost in that earthquake, but luckily I replaced it by one from Home Goods for a very good price, $10. Good luck trying to find this for $10 on eBay now. But here was the candy corn equivalent. That Boney Bunch character with a spider body, also kind of tossing those candy corn pieces at her face. We have the haunted house in the back that's green. We have a tree, a candy corn tree, essentially, and some graveyard wrought iron fences, and the green moon. I think I've showed that to you before, but I don't think I've showed this to you before. Trick or Treat. Again, the candy corn buttercream blend, also released that year. We have kind of that American Gothic. Instead of the pitchfork, he's holding the candelabra. We have the man and his wife, or the wife and his husband, or her husband. What are they doing? They're pulling out some candy corn from a barrel, or probably most likely a jack-o'-lantern, but also another haunted house, a moon, and some trees in the back. But these hologram labels are thick. They're thick. In fact, they're starting to peel off in places, which is making me upset. But they really, if you get to look at them up close, it does look like you can reach your hand in there. It really does have this three-dimensional quality. That was an exciting year. That was an exciting year. What are you guys saying down here? I'm picking out random comments. I didn't buy anything this year, Shona. If they brought back designs like they used to have, I would buy everything. Oh well, maybe next year. I don't recall the year, says Laura. Would have to look it up in the past catalogs. I love that Laura joins. I keep calling you Laura. I'm sorry, Laura. I'm so happy that you joined, and because I just have the worst memory ever. Diane says, I want it. Shane, is it for sale? I don't think anything I've showed so far, Diane. But Diane, I do have something to show you. Wait a minute. Where is it? I do have something to show Diane. And I have no idea where it is. Oh my god, this is bad. Diane recently posted on the Candle Enthusiast Facebook fan group a picture of a really nice cat. Is it? Because it holds a candle. It holds a candle. It can hold tea lights. This kind of smiling jack-o'-lantern-like cat. And I have it. And I wanted to show it because it is one of my favorites. I'm just looking on all my shelves, and I have no idea where it is. Hopefully I'll find it before this comes to a close. I'm guessing it's hidden. There it is. Bingo. Okay, I said I wasn't gonna do accessories yet. Sheetrock. That's kind of disgusting. I was using that to wipe my face. Look at that guy there. Not sure of the year on this one. Probably 2010, 2011, around those years. You could simply put a full house warmer in this. Right, just drop it right on. You could put a medium, or like I said, you could put tea lights, or you could put maybe even something large was what I'm trying to say. Oh, there's a sticker. 2012, it's telling me. This little accessory. So there you go. So when Diane says, are any of my objects, anything from my collection am I going to put up for sale to raise funds for this channel, I will be posting a bunch of stuff. This is one of the reasons why I'm doing this video, because I want to show you my favorite things, but I've acquired so much, and you know, it's time that a lot of these pieces find new homes. And I know you guys, if it goes to you guys, they will be going to good homes. But really importantly, not most importantly, but really importantly, the money is used to fund, to keep the travel channels, to keep the travel videos going. This year's budget, man, it's tight. We got a lot of fun stuff to do. We're traveling a lot, booking things every single day, but it's scary because it's like, I had this much money and this much stuff to do. So I figured, you know what? Maybe I'll put some of my Halloween stuff up. This might be one of them. This might be one of them. Let's put this down here for now. Let's keep this going. Now, a lot of you have said, including myself, that the 360-degree labels was one of your favorite looks. You can see we have the spaceman, we have a jack-o'-lantern, a little cowgirl, we have a ghost, we have a witch, we have a ballerina, we have a cat. This is incredible. I love this label because no matter if you put this in the middle of the table, you have a 360-degree label, or you can slightly turn this and have a different label depending on your mood. If you want to see that ballerina, turn to the ballerina. If you're feeling like a little, ghost or cowgirl label, you just simply turn it. This is when I'm like, man, okay, they're really onto something, because we had a label that could change, and then what got me more excited. This did come out in the Witch's Brew. Do I have it? I do. We have the witch on her broom, throwing off her spells from her broom that includes skulls, bullfrogs, bats, ravens, spiders, pumpkins. We have the crescent moon, and we have the cat on the back of the broom, and underneath we have the countryside, the unsuspecting neighborhood on Halloween night. And again, fantastic idea. That was 2014, and then in 2015 we saw a very similar look, but instead of being like a two-tone, orange and black, we got a tritone color, and it was a little bit different. We had the same trick-or-treaters, but you see we had the punch of yellow now coming from the jack-o'-lanterns and the moon. But my favorite thing was this part right here, is the addition of the house and the woman handing out candy to the trick-or-treaters. Really, really cool. This one was, I said already that that purple label, that hologram one, was my favorite. But as far as a set, because this was released as a trio set, this was my favorite set in 2014. The Witch's Brew again. We have now the punch of the orange, but we still essentially have the same thing. The witch flying around the countryside. There's some additions. The countryside is a little bit more visible, but everything is still silhouetted. But most importantly, that was the year. That was the year that a brand new fragrance was released. And I was excited, man. Let me tell you, I was there at South Deerfield, the flagship store, at 10 o'clock, the first one in line. Were any of you there? That's my question. And I walked in, and the first thing I did was got all my candles, but I noticed that Ghostly Treats was not on the shelf. They didn't even have it in stock at the flagship store. And I asked the associates, and they didn't even know what I was talking about. And it was scary, it was frustrating. I'm like, did they get rid of this candle? What's going on? So I immediately went outside and made several phone calls, and luckily in Stockbridge, Massachusetts, they had, I think they had 3 in stock. And I'm like, can you please hold on to them? So after I was done in South Deerfield, I drove to Stockbridge. I purchased all 3. They were very nice to hold on to them for me. And my brother got one, I got one, and my sister-in-law got one, and we were all happy campers. I bring it to California that year, and earthquake. And my Ghostly Treats was gone. I lost my Ghostly Treats. And this was a very small production candle. There was a lot of problems with the productions. As far as the rumors I've heard, the original name was supposed to be Marshmallow Man, but kind of like State Puff Marshmallow Man. Joff, if you're with us, I'm going to kind of give you credit for that piece of information, which totally makes sense. So there was a lot of last-minute changes to this candle. But after my candle did break, I repaired it. Only I put it into a mason jar, but this is a fully functioning Ghostly Treats that I may even burn right now. I may burn this in just a second. But I did get my hands on another one. There was a lot of problems with these candles. If you can see on the bottom there, nearly everyone I've ever seen has had severe scraping of like this paint, of the paint. I mean, it really almost looks like these were still not even dry off the press while they were filling them with wax, because they were in such a rush to get them out. But you've heard me say, you've heard a lot of other people say, this really is the hot ticket as far as what is the most in demand Halloween Yankee Candle. Ghostly Treats. I mean, you can find it in tea lights, you can find it in tarts and votives. You can even melt those down and maybe even make a legit candle out of it. But really what made it amazing was the 360-degree label. So we have this boneyard, this graveyard, with those old stone gravestones with the purple wrought iron Gothic fence with those, again, those Tim Burton-esque twisted gnarly trees with the ghosts. And what is interesting is that this is a they described it as an ooey gooey marshmallow candle. And you know me, I'm not ever okay with summing up a candle in a couple words. This is significantly different than something like Campfire Treats. You might remember one of my first videos was on this topic. But this is a very specific kind of marshmallow. It's not Lucky Charms. It's not, marshmallows that you pull out of the bag. Although you get that. There's nothing smoky or roasted about this fragrance. And I struggled for a while. In my video, I made the comparison of this is like a marshmallow, like a nutter butter sandwich, peanut butter and fluff. No peanut butter, but the fluff that comes in the jar. Something I personally didn't grow up with, but had experienced a few times in, I guess, maybe college. That's what this smells like. But since I created that first video, I noticed something that I think is such a better description. If anyone really wants to know what this candle smells like, or at least the marshmallow component to it, go out. This happened about a year ago. I had one of those like pint of ice creams from like a gas station when I was in a hotel room one night. And it was a Haagen-Dazs Rocky Road pint of ice cream. I shouldn't have been eating it, but I was treating myself. And I hadn't had Rocky Road since I was probably a child, so it was really exciting. And inside of the Rocky Road, it wasn't like, they don't have like little mini marshmallows. They have like that it's like a marshmallow swirl, like a sauce, a syrup almost. It's weird. That runs through that ice cream. And I took a bite of that and I'm like, what's going on? And then it dawned on me, I'm like, I'm eating ghostly treats. This marshmallow goo that's inside of this ice cream tastes like ghostly treats smells. So I highly recommend, if you're not familiar with that ice cream, just for fun, go out and get that ice cream. And what's great about that ice cream is that I think that the nuts in that ice cream are almonds. And there's definitely a sweet almond quality here. I mean, we can call it almond milk. We could call it, almond milk. I would go there. Almond milk, but really that clean, unroasted almond aroma, and maybe an almond extract, but really that raw almond, sweet raw almond aroma. But there is this white blossom floral that a lot of people just won't even ever talk about. Some people just blatantly disagree with me about this floral component that's in this candle, but I think it makes all the difference. There's something here that at least registers in my mind as a very sweet, non-pollen-esque, non-allergy inducing floral. And when I created that video, my first video on this, I didn't address it, but I thought of it afterwards. I'm like, wait a minute, what if those florals were supposed to represent all of the dead flowers that were left at all of these tombstones? I really love that concept. So whether or not there truly is a floral component here or a white musk, maybe is what I'm smelling, that idea, that concept totally fits. We have this graveyard with tombstones and dead flowers, marshmallow swirl, ooey gooey marshmallow fluff, and a little bit of that almond nuttiness. And this candle burned really well. It wasn't monstrously intense, but it was in a smaller space. So I remember in Napa Valley burning this in I had a very large bathroom. It was a beautiful bathroom in Napa Valley, and it was like the greatest thing. Usually you think of like masculine scents or clean scents in bathrooms, but for Halloween, that was my ghostly treats, or my ghostly treats was my bathroom candle. And I'm very fond of that candle. I found 2 of those last year. I put them up on eBay. They went to great homes, but that is the only one I have left other than this. Let's see if we can get this lit without burning myself. It still smells wonderful. I smell a lot of smoke in there, which makes sense. Alright, I'm most certainly going to burn myself during this process. this is a moment. How often can you say that you're lighting a ghostly treats candle? Bam, we're doing it. There it is. Let's get some ghostly treats action in the house here. I'm gonna just leave that there. Let's move on though. Let's get rid of these candles. So the trio again was the Witch's Brew, the Candy Corn, and where'd it go? The Ghostly Treats. Having the three of these, this is a very precarious situation, but I have to give you the visual. Having three of these on display was the coolest thing ever. If I had guests in my apartment, even if they weren't candle people, they were immediately intrigued. Alright, how about this? How about this? Midsummer's Night, a very old scent by Yankee Candle, dates back to the early 80s. I think the dawning of this candle was at South Deerfield, so it doesn't predate South Deerfield. This is the black band version of it, and just as a testament, amazing, amazing. So we're looking at a candle that's at least 18 years old, and it smells fantastic. And look, I know you guys, some of you guys out there really love enjoying seeing all of the shininess of the oils. I didn't. This was gifted to me by a very dear friend, but there is a little bit of tunneling there, so that does need to get fixed. But if you visit the village, Midsummer's Night, even though the name Midsummer's Night, you know, definitely I always thought of this as a summer candle. This does kind of have cross promotion with Halloween. When you go to the facade of the Nutcracker Castle at the Yankee Candle Village, where they have all the gargoyles and dragons, kind of spooky, the knights in armor. This candle's always there, and during Halloween they seem to put it out on display. So I could see this totally being used as a Halloween candle, and to confirm that, this candle has been released under alternate names for Halloween fragrances. I'm going to show you what they are. You guys still with me? We got 76 people in the house. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Where are they? Here they are. 2015. Honestly, the production of this candle right here that I'm about to show you was probably a case, because this was a year, 2015, that I went to many different Yankee Candle storefronts, and I never saw this. I don't even believe, I could be wrong, I could be, I don't think I am, but I could be wrong. This wasn't even pictured in the catalog. So I don't really understand yet the story behind this candle, but this is called Midsummer's Night, but it is in this beautiful cobweb perfect pillar. Check that out. Come on. So obviously with the font of Midsummer's Night, the cobwebs that are kind of three-dimensional, it has a textural quality. Yankee was promoting this as a Halloween candle, and then inside we have that soft wax. Whatever that blend was that year, it was fantastic. Now I've never had a chance to burn this because this is the only one I own, this Midsummer's Night, and it does say limited edition, but then again, so did the counterpart. The counterpart in 2015 was a fragrance that you're probably familiar with, but you're probably familiar with it in this form. Black Magic. This was a 2016. Is it 2016? Yeah, okay. Man, I'm really losing my memory. 2016 release, and I think it was the first time, and I want to give somebody credit. It's Doug from Spooky Villages. I think it was the first person to actually jump out and say, you know what, that is a really good label. That is a really pretty label. And this was about, you know, a long stretch of time. We were dealing like 6 months at this point with this new design, the new shape of the label. But he pointed it out, and I think he was absolutely right. You know, this was a label obviously designed for this new shape, and I never had a problem with it. Do I wish it was bigger? I mean, maybe, but I mean, you get it. Whether if I'm holding it here or if I'm holding it here, you get the story. You get the feeling of this candle. So you may be familiar with Black Magic. It was retired. 2016 was the last year it came out, and I think it's a shame it hasn't come back. But I think at some point it has to. It's probably something that Yankee has in their pocket. But in 2015, it was the original release. But, I mean, it was a different, you know, the perfect pillar was not a super popular thing at that time. And the label is far from what that beautiful housewarmer jar label was. So I don't know if it was a hot seller. I really don't. But I loved it immediatly. And what was new for me was that at this juncture in my Yankee Candle collecting, you might not know this about me. You may. A lot of you may. I'm a housewarmer person. I am a paraffin person. When it comes to Yankee Candle, I love the paraffin wax. I love the look of it. I love the apothecary jar, the housewarmer jar. So I was a little bit like, why don't they have a housewarmer version of this candle? However, the performance of this candle, I don't know if you can see it, because I have two of these. This one is the one that has been lit, and you can't see in there. But this is a little bit different. Even when you burn it, was different than the 2016 version. Look, if you're not paying careful, obsessive attention, are they the same candles? Yeah, okay, don't worry about it. But if you really geek out, this one to me has more, this is more for the masses. It's a little bit more friendly. It's a little bit more sweet. As Doug said it in his recent video, sultry, it's sexy, it's, you know, I always personally called it, you know, it reminded me of Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, because it smells like black leather and smells like, you know, clean florals. Even though Elvira doesn't wear leather, she sits on a leather sofa though. This one to me was more of like a dark charcoal organic incense, smoky driven smell. So Brett from Philly, Candleman, huge shout out to Brett, everybody. Brett's not with us, but say congratulations, Brett, or at least if you can reach out to him at some point. He just had a brand new baby girl born in his family last evening or early this morning, and we're so incredibly happy for him. So huge shout out to Brett from Philly Candleman. And if you're not familiar by any chance, make sure you swing over to his channel and hit that subscribe button, say hello. But Brett pointed out that these actually were available for a short period of time on sale on the Yankee Candle website this year. Not in the tall 20-ounce tumbler, but they had, I think they had mediums for like $10. And man, if I had the extra money, I would have bought some. I definitely would have bought some if I didn't have two of them. But whoever got them, they sold out quick. Whoever got them, congratulations. So there you go. 2015, we had the housewarmer jars, but we also had these two pillars, Midsummer's Night and the Black Magic. The housewarmer jars on that year, a lot of people didn't like them, and I respect people's opinions. I do, man. I respect people's opinions, but I don't understand what the problem was. I thought it was actually kind of cool. The only problem was we were stepping away from the 360-degree look. But this, where's the candy corn? Here it is. In 2000, so with the 2015, we had the Witch's Brew in this apothecary jar that was truly this dingy, dirty, gray and black on bottom, medium-sized jar. Now, very minimal artwork here. Minimalism, for sure. We have the hat on the cobweb, the little spider brooch on the hat, and that is it. But you know what? I loved the jar. I really thought the design, the decal, I should say, was quite nice. Especially, like, this looks like a tattoo. Like, if someone had this as a tattoo on this candy corn, I mean, like, that's a cool tattoo. I'm not a tattoo person myself. I don't have any tattoos, but this would make for a really cool tattoo. It's the first time we officially saw that, you know, well, I guess alone on the label, that Edgar Allan Poe raven that has really kind of become the symbol of Witch's Brew now. But this was the first time we saw it, and that decal is, it's that tree, but you know, it looks like one of those crazy laboratory Tesla coil, electric, Dr. Frankenstein, electrode. I think you get what I'm trying to say. Electricity kind of thing, and I liked it. I was satisfied. I bought 2 of each, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to burn. I didn't want to burn this set. This one is burned, but I have one that's unlit over there. And so, different from the 360-degree view. And I should point this out. Same year, the 360-degree view. Check this out. Almost forgot to mention this. This is like an expanded Ghostly Treats candle. Can we see this? It doesn't have the purple. But this is one. Let's see if the battery still works. And it doesn't. I really thought it was going to. It's a wax candle. It's an LED light, but you've probably seen these. They had them on following years, different designs. But it was an LED flame that would change color. You know, really beautiful. I mean, talk about, like, you didn't have to feel bad about wasting a candle. You could just keep this lit without wasting wax. But we have the owl on there, which is, again, I love that kind of that ominous owl in the, you know, the dark forest. Very childlike. This is what I call Mickey Mouse fun, spooky Halloween. This is the kind of stuff that I loved when I was a child. And I still do now because there's so much nostalgia tied to it. And again, this was a direction that Yankee Candle was going in, but things were about to change because clearly in 2015 they were stepping away from this cartoon-like, not comical, but cartoon-friendly Mickey Mouse style and trying to change and morph into the more elegant style. Again, I just showed you the candy corn. You know, a little bit more, this is not luxury, but this is a little bit more elegant. As a child, I probably would have totally enjoyed this, but not as much as this, right? And something I didn't show you, Midsummer's Night. If anyone owns this one, here's a treat. The thing is, I don't know. I know Midsummer's Night very well. I don't know if this is truly what this was, a repackage of Midsummer's Night, but this was like a TJ Maxx thing. Fright Night. Fright Night, we might know that name from Kringle Candle Halloween, but Yankee Candle had this name first because I purchased this. Well, you know what? I take that back. because I think Kringle released Fright Night in 2012. I'm not quite sure. I maybe bought this in 2013. And although I'm smelling it now, I was about to tell you this was Midsummer's Night. And I don't know if I agree with that. It plays by all the same rules. It's very clean, masculine, but this is a little bit more rich and aggressive as far as the cologne aspect of it. I mean, this smells like, you know, not in a bad way, but like, you know, an Axe body spray. It's in the sense of the intensity. But I liked it. I always described it as kind of like a True Blood vampire Yankee Candle scent. You know, True Blood, you have all the vampires, all the pretty actors, the women, the men, everyone's, like soap opera look beautiful. And I always pictured like, this being like a cool True Blood vampire candle. So, I don't know, maybe it's Midsummer's Night. If not, it plays by the same rules. 2016, a fragrance was re-released. People thought it was the first year, but it had appeared many different times in the past. It went by names of Toxic Tonic, not the Swirl Candle, or not Toxic Tonic, Poison Apple. And it was a couple other years, but it was essentially the Granny Smith fragrance. I don't have the tumbler from 2016. I actually never bought it, and I regret it because it is not an easy one to find now. But where is the house warmer jar from 2016? Did I not bring it over? I didn't bring it over. Let me grab it. So in 2016, things kind of took a turn. A lot of questions. I was asking a lot of questions. We had our 360-degree labels again, but and I tried not to be judgmental. What is going on, man? I'm missing candles here. I'm missing candles all the way. Okay. 2016, I was in not Bath and Body Works. I always do that. Bed Bath and Beyond. And actually I wasn't. I was on the website. And I was searching for Yankee Candles because they were retailing Yankee Candles at this point already. And I remember before the Halloween release party, they had the Halloween fragrances available for sale, but only in very specific stores. So I drove down all the way to Springfield, New Jersey, I believe it was, and I picked this up almost a full month, all three of these, a full month before they hit the Yankee Candle stores. And I was kind of upset by this. This was kind of, not with Yankee, well, I wasn't upset with the Yankee Candle. I was just upset that, like, if you release candles early to other retails, then what's so exciting about the release party, right? The release party is when, like, you're supposed to get the stuff for the first time. And this was before I really scoured the outlets. But the trio in 2016 looked like this. And there's a little bit more drama that comes along in this discussion. The Witch's Brew was this, like, you see the spiders, the scratchy kind of chicken scratch. There's actually I thought there was a little spider on there, but it wasn't. And it was a 360-degree label. We had that black jar again with the black Witch's Brew band. Very opaque, but still translucent. Smells wonderful. Smells wonderful. And then Forbidden Apple, this was one format that it came in. It came in the tumbler, but Bath and Body Works had the house warmer jar of Forbidden Apple. And this is truly a beautiful, look at the wax. And this really, oh my God, the intensity of this is insane. And even the bubbles on top there, can you see the bubbles of the wax? Make this kind of look like a witch's cauldron. I love it. It is a very authentic green apple, Granny Smith smell with a little bit of woodiness. You can call it oakiness, if that makes you think of, you know, apple cider, like bourbon barrel aged cider, or you can think of an apple basket, a wicker basket. You can think of a little stem on top of the apple itself. You could think of the apple tree or being in the apple orchard, or apple crate. So having a little bit of that wood component in there adds to the authenticity of the apple, but instead of it being this super sweet experience, it has this very tart, very sour perception of, perceived aromatic. I mean, you can't smell tartness. You can't smell something that would be acidic, right? But when I smell this, it smells like a freshly squeezed Granny Smith apple. That malic acid inside that apple, really, really nice. So that's how it looked. We had the Witch's Brew, Forbidden Apple, and then the candy corn. A lot of you may not have seen this before, and I'll explain in just a second. The candy corn, same thing, kind of chicken scratch, that beautiful orange wax. I had one that I burned on this year. That was from Yankee Candle, not from Bed Bath & Beyond. This does seem a little dry. That is interesting. A lot of bubbles in this one too. Interesting because the drama that I was referring to is, on the day of the Halloween preview party, I walked into South Deerfield, and like the ghostly treats situation, I could not find the candy corn. The candy corn was not on the shelf. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I'm asking the associates, I'm like, where's candy corn? And they're like, oh, it's over there. I'm like, no, that's like the tarts. There's the tea lights, the votives, and the little spheres, whatever they. Honestly, I bought them once. These guys, the fragrance spheres. I couldn't think of the name. Right? They had it in this. But they're like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know where candy corn is. So I'm like, here we go again. So I went outside and I started calling Yankee Candle after Yankee Candle after Yankee Candle, and nobody had candy corn in stock. Keep in mind, this was, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a staple of Yankee Candle Halloween. And Yankee Candle did not produce candy corn for Yankee Candle retail in 2016. They produced it exclusively for Bath and Body Works, Bed Bath and Beyond, because Bed Bath and Beyond is Yankee Candle, at least it was at the time, their biggest customer, and they wanted it, so they made it. But this never made it to Yankee Candle retail, and that was kind of strange. I have to admit, for 12 months, not even 12 months, it's only 6 months until I started the following year, I could start doing research. That's when I really started getting into going to the outlets and trying to do investigative research on Yankee Candles, because I wanted to see if there was a reason why candy corn didn't come out, or if they really did retire candy corn. But was anybody else? Am I alone? With, you know, it was very, very, very strange that year. It didn't, seemed like nobody else was asking that question. Diane says, time to take a nap, Shane. I think I'm just talking too fast, and to be honest, you might think I had too much coffee. I didn't have enough. That's the problem. So, candy corn would go on, spoiler alert, but you guys know, was retired. It never came back. It never came back. That 2016 was the last time we saw the housewarmer jar or candy corn in any wax format. 2000. No, let's talk about this. 2017. So once again, because I was doing research trying to find out about the candy corn, in spring of 2016, I said, you know what? Now I had, already started a YouTube channel, so I started seeing how people were getting candles early or talking about candles early, and I'm like, wow, there really is this like community of people out there. I didn't know. I really didn't know. When I started Candle Enthusiast, I didn't know that there was. I thought the last thing on earth I thought there would be people talking about Yankee candles on YouTube. But I quickly discovered there was other folks, and I'm like, wait a minute, how are they getting all this information early, and why is this happening? It's supposed to be a surprise the day they come out. But in 2017, things leaked really early, and I'm like, you know what? I have two options. I just do nothing, because I'm not happy that these candles, that they leaked, and that other people are going to be talking about them. And in many cases, talking about them maybe in a negative light or a non-excited way. And I'm like, you know what? I don't like spoilers. I would never want to watch a spoiler alert video or a sneak peek video. I'm one of those people who truly does want to be surprised. But if these candles are going to be leaked to Yankee Candle fans through YouTube, I want to be the one to do it, because I really want to share my passion, share my excitement, share my enthusiasm for Yankee Candle, and produce those spoiler alert videos. I didn't do them this year. I really didn't, because there really wasn't much to spoil. But I quickly found out that candy corn was not coming back, but Forbidden Apple was returning, and then we had, to me, what looked like in the leaked photographs, they looked like Bordeaux bottles. I thought these were going to be like, those wine bottles that were repurposed. That's what they looked like. But we had a trio set of the candles, the Witch's Brew Forbidden Apple, but there was a new scent. And I probably found this out in May of 2017, and I went on a quest, a mission. I had to get this candle. I had to find out a way to get it in my hands and introduce it on YouTube first. And although that's a very silly goal, I took it very seriously. And it took many, many hours of driving and even weeks and weeks of phone calls to finally track this down. But I ended up getting 6 of these, let's say a month and a half before it was released. And I still enjoy going back and watching this spoiler alert video where I introduced Haunted Hollow. It was a brand new fragrance, and it was released only last year. Look at that label, Evil Pumpkin and Haunted Hollow. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, is this gonna be, Black Magic? Did they change the name Black Magic because maybe magic, that word black, or maybe the two words together, Black Magic, kind of controversial. Maybe they're trying to be PC. I was thinking that. And then Happy Halloween had been retired the year before. It's here. I'll find it, and I will share it with you. Here it is. Happy Halloween. This was before there was returning favorites. They had what we call treasures. Those of you who are new to Yankee Candle purchasing or burning, and so this was a candle that you could buy like almost all year round if you were in the right store. But this was the like epitome black licorice root beer float candle. Loved it. It disappeared with the candy corn. So I didn't know if that was going to be this candle. So when I finally did track it down and I smelled it, and still, I know there's a lot of people, this is not their cup of tea, but this is what makes candle exciting, candle burning exciting for me, is the true experience. You know, everything to me doesn't have to smell pretty. Everything to me doesn't have to be baking spices, pumpkin spice when it comes to Halloween. It doesn't have to be home fragrance, right? If I ask the question, I've asked it to you folks, I've asked it to strangers, I've asked it to friends and family members. I asked them, give me another word. Other than scented candle. If you couldn't describe a candle with the words scented candle, give me some other ways of describing it. And the biggest one is, what was it? Odor neutralizer. You know, like that. And a lot of people said that to me, and I'm like, that really like kind of like, it was alarming. It bummed me out a little bit. There's nothing wrong with, you know, odor neutralizing. But to me, candle burning was about storytelling. It was about painting a portrait. It was about an experience. It's not about making my house smell beautiful. I want an authentic smell that's going to whisk me away. And if you kind of share that mentality of burning candles, like if you enjoy folks like Witch City Wicks, Cottage Wicks, these smaller micro batch companies, I felt like this was Yankee Candle's take on being a little bit more wild and artistic. This was bright citrus, juniper berry, pine needle, pine sap, frankincense, very pine driven, tons of like just like lime juice, just huge citrus component. But then the forest floor, the crushed leaves, the kind of dried vegetation, the hay, and you know, a little bit of the patchouli, and although Yankee Candle doesn't use vetiver a lot, I wouldn't be surprised if vetiver was in there. Oak moss is probably something else that's going on there, but it's a very authentic outdoor smell. So a lot of people didn't like it, but now that it's gone, everybody wants it back. And same thing with Forbidden Apple. Forbidden Apple didn't come back this year, and now that it's gone, everybody wants it back. But people weren't buying them, so they didn't bring them back. So it's like, I don't know. You know, you kind of do, at least I do, slightly feel bad for Yankee Candle. They kind of got criticisms for Forbidden Apple being a simple apple candle, and then Haunted Hollow being this, like, you know, very earthy, unattractive scent. They take them away, and then people are complaining, and they still can't win. They still can't win. I don't know. Someone's saying, it's Travis. I stocked up on Forbidden Apple. Let me tell you, I did too. So with those perfect pillars on that year, we saw these house warmer jars. Again, I'm all about the house warmer jars. This year, a little bit different because it wasn't paraffin wax. So I actually went with the large house warmer jars. And I was very happy with my decision with that. Certainly, so if anyone's asking, because a lot of people have been asking me this question, the paraffin witch's brew versus the softer wax witch's brew, the intensity. Yeah, I think that I haven't burned the medium jar, but everyone who has, not everyone, but most people I've spoken to who have burned that soft wax, medium, house warmer, so they've had like almost super potent performance on it, where those who have purchased the large paraffin saying that they're lighter in intensity. And it's hard for me to kind of comment on that because I like light intensity. Do the paraffin house warmer jars take a little bit of extra effort, trial and error to burn? You know, do you have to, can you set them and forget it? No, sometimes you can't. Most of the times these days you can't with Yankee candles. You kind of have to, it's like when you're if you're a craft a coffee person and you roast coffee beans or you brew coffee, your own coffee in a very scientific way because you need that perfect cup of coffee. If you know me, I do that. I'm a coffee nut. And it's the same thing with coffee. No matter what batch of coffee it is, it doesn't matter if you're purchasing from the same supplier, the same roaster, it's the same bean, it's the same kind of roast. No matter what it is, every time you get a new set of beans, it could be 3 days after the roast, 5 days after the roast, a week after the roast, every variable creates things that have to make you alter your formulation of how you go about your practices. And that's kind of what the house warmers have become. To me, I enjoy it because I like geeking out about burning candles and doing it perfectly, but I know a lot of people just want to light the candle and walk away. So I'm kind of addressing a question there that a lot of people have asked me without going into it into depth. Forbidden Apple was released 360 degree, a clear jar but with a decal. Forbidden Apple, we saw this, the aluminum lid with the jack-o'-lantern. That was the first time we've seen anything like that on a Halloween candle. And let me make sure I'm giving the right things here. Yeah, so same decal for the Witch's Brew, same lid. So just different front. You can see this is a European candle too. You see how it's got the old font on there, where this one has the new font. I have a bunch of them. Alright. Let's put some of these away. Let me show you some more candles. If you're still with us, thank you for joining in today. Really improving here. I probably should have rehearsed what I was going to do. What I was going to show, I wasn't planning on showing all the candles. There's so many that I'm skipping. All of the candy corns, the trick-or-treats, the Witch's Brew, but there's only so much time in the day. And we're going to get to the oldest Yankee candle, at least to my knowledge, in just a little bit. Here's one that actually made it to retail, some retail last year, but this was a TJ Maxx candle. Cider a web. I mean, this is really just an apple cider, a spiced apple cider candle. So, honestly, I just think this is the apple cider fragrance. Just renamed Cider Web, but really pretty gold label. There was one that looked mighty similar to this called Sinister. Sinister as in like cinnamon. Sinister, and it was straight up cinnamon candle, but it kind of had the same label. This was purchased, it says 2014, but I think I got it in 2014 sounds right. Got it at TJ Maxx in California. Here's one. People are always trying to find ways to get their hands on ghostly treats, and although I said tarts, votives, tea lights are an option, the jars are just, I think all year I have an alarm set on eBay, so if someone posts one, I'm notified. All year this year, not one was posted, so that tells you something. But what you will see every now and then, I got this at an outlet, as you can see, and this was released in 2014. This was released in 2014. So what's interesting, 2014? Yeah, 2014. This was released. So although Happy Halloween, no. Okay, I got it. Yep, 2014. So Ghostly Treats was new. Happy Halloween had not been retired yet, and neither was Candy Corn. So this was a trio layered candle, not a swirl candle, but you have that kind of that Kringle double-lipped. Well, it's not double-lipped, but that really nice thick jar. How many ounces was this? It doesn't say, but it looks like 8. So the top layer is Ghostly Treats, and honestly, this is an outlet candle, and it's kind of old. It smells a little bit rubbery, but I definitely do get a good dose of that authentic Ghostly Treats aroma. Speaking of Ghostly Treats, oh yeah, oh yeah. How we all doing out there? You doing good? All right. So last year we saw the introduction. I really don't need to spend too much time on this because this was re-released this year. Same label, Sweet Seduction. This was the one that I really was trying to get my hands on last year early, and it was the only one I could not get. But I got it one day early. So, although I didn't get it weeks early, months early, I did get it one day early. So I still felt like my journey, my quest to get Sweet Seduction was successful. And you know what? I mainly heard positive remarks about this, but I have every now and then I'll get something negative about Sweet Seduction. This was one of the originals that I bought the day before the Halloween party. I mean, to me, this was more potent than the candy corn and a little bit more complex. And a lot of people will use the word boozy with this candle. And man, I mean, I forget what the fragrance notes descriptions were. And I know that we see a cocktail glass here, but that's like a dessert. That's not, there's no booze in there. That's right? That's like a frappe, like some kind of yogurt, fruit infused yogurt or sweet treat, whatever. Something that would definitely give you a sugar crash for sure. But to me, other than maybe like a butterscotch aroma, I didn't really get anything boozy on that. But it was more powerful, more intense than the candy corn fragrance. I made my peace with the retirement of candy corn because remember, candy corn had been renamed. Remember, we said Trick or Treats, Halloween candy, and then Sweet Seduction. So to me, candy corn is still alive. It just smells a little bit different. It performs a little bit better, and it's got a different name, and it's got a cool label. I wish we had a new one this year, a new label this year for it. All right, we're getting close here as far as candles are concerned. I'm going to show you some honorable mentions. I'm going to be angry with myself. Let me just show you real quick some Trick or Treats. I didn't talk about Trick or Treats much, but look at that one, Trick or Treats. This one right here, almost gave this one away on a previous live. This one I don't know where this came from. I never saw this label. I found it probably at an outlet, those like Trick or Treat bags. But for years, we had our Trick or Treat. I showed you this one already, and I have a bunch over there. Pumpkin Patch. I didn't show you Pumpkin Patch. So Pumpkin Patch is not a swirl candle, but it's a combination of two fragrances. It's a large concept. It's not a large concept, but it's something that's very confusing for a lot of people, and I understand because it's not a swirl candle, but it's two fragrances. So Pumpkin Patch was a mixture of Yankee Candle's classic Harvest and Spiced Pumpkin. Those are two 1980s fragrances from Yankee Candle, classics. Ones that you need in your collection. Whether you burn them or not, you need them in your collection. And I would highly recommend hunting them down in black bands because, man, are they just still monstrously explosive. Do I have mine available? The black band. I don't see it right there. Yeah, that's right here. So although I don't think this one is super old, I think this is probably a newer black band. Check that one out right there. But Spice Pumpkin, completely different aesthetic than what we see now. I mean, just so different. And this is, I mean, you smell it in stages, you know what I mean? It really does smell layered. And it's not monstrously spicy, you know? It doesn't have that Red Hot's Atomic Fireball candy smell. So honorable mentions. So this was the combination of the two, and you know, I think you could still find it. It came in several different labels on several different years. I really can't tell you for sure if this was ever in retail. But this candle right here, I did have one that broke. I still have it, but the lip is broken on it. Was purchased at the Village. This one was purchased at Home Goods. But whether you bring those two candles together or find this pumpkin patch candle, I just love the label. And I think they had one that is similar label called Dreadfully Delicious, which the two fragrances that were mixed elude me at the moment. Might have been candy corn and something else. Alright, honorable mentions. Gotta be careful here, careful. Nothing is broken. So, spring, summer, it's really summer 2017, we had a kind of a Mediterranean theme. If you think about it, you know, Tahitian nights, the Tuscan vineyards that never came out. It just kind of disappeared and went to like a few hallmarks. We had the cafe al fresco. Everything seemed to be European. I guess a good way to classify it would be a blanketed term, Mediterranean theme. And Black Sand Beach, kind of like this, again, like a Polynesian island with volcanic deposits, was released. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm showing this to you. As soon as this came out, because this is a patchouli-based candle, and it's even black, so I'm guessing it reminded people a lot of, oh, that's so nice. That is so nice. This is the original release. Getting a little bit more coconut, actually, than I remember when I initially reviewed this candle. But it's very patchouli heavy, very floral heavy. I think Black Orchid was one of the fragrance notes. And although orchids, not all varieties of orchids have smell, Black Orchid doesn't really have, it's not something that somebody would use as an ingredient in a candle or a fragrance or a cologne or a perfume. It is more of a poetic fragrance note for Yankee Candle, and but it's a very heavy, like lily, like stargazer lily, clawingly powerful floral. And although that's not necessarily my cup of tea, I really like this concept, and I really like this candle. Something about it, it kept bringing me back. It's the first time I really started to like smell, like I got the sense of, you know, the salty air and the breeze. It set a tone. It just gave me a mood, and I couldn't get it off my mind. But I remember it was quickly rumored that this was going to be retired because it was just a disaster in sales. So I remember for my 1-year anniversary, I was at Candle Candle, out of all places. But I had just come from the Yankee Candle Village, and I proposed an idea. It was just being silly. I wasn't serious, but I proposed an idea to Yankee Candle. If you're going to retire the candle, how about bring it back as a Halloween fragrance? And just for fun, just for my own personal collection, I had this kind of concept for what they could rename this candle if it were to be released as a Halloween candle. And being a big Disney fan, it was very easy for me to come up with a concept. It's actually just, I think the first thing I thought of when I smelled it was Sea Witch, the the classic fairy tale, Hans Christian Andersen, the Little Mermaid. So there is no copyright infringement. You see the name right there, Sea Witch, and on there is just a little concept drawing of, probably a little bit more Disney-esque. We have Ursula and Ariel tickling her throat, going to steal her voice. But Sea Witch, it makes sense because it's got the patchouli, it's black wax, it kind of reminds us of Witch's Brew, so it was kind of an oceanic take on Witch's Brew. And I thought that would be so fun, even if it was just like 1 year, one run, one time pour. If they, instead of just getting rid of the fragrance, if they did that, I knew they would never see my video or listen, but even if they did somehow catch it. But what's interesting is that Black Sand Beach, this candle, wasn't retired. It's actually still in production. So go figure that. I mean, they didn't retire it. So I'm not saying it had anything to do with that, but it'd be nice to think that I did. I don't think I did. But several candles from other small companies that I highly admire have released subsequently a candle called Sea Witch, and truly based on Ursula from Little Mermaid. That can be it's going to be Spireside has one, and there's another Disney-inspired candle company. I don't want to name the wrong company, but they have Sea Witch. So that is a candle. If you like that concept, Sea Witch. I haven't smelled them, but they're out there. Another one that's not a Halloween candle, but it should be. And if you don't own this one, try to get it before it's gone forever. It hasn't aged well. If you ever had Merry Marshmallow, and you notice like it has like freckles and dots and just any light colored candle has the potential of getting a little bit nasty on you. This is one of those. But white chocolate apple, I'm a huge white chocolate fan. And a lot of chocolate aficionados really make fun of me for that. But I really do like white chocolate. And this is just a candy apple experience that's enhanced with a enormous like pecan nuttiness and very creamy white chocolate. But I mean, out of more so than anything, it just reminds me not of caramel apple, but it reminds me of a candied apple. So by looking at this, it looks like there's like in the background, it looks like a fence, but it also kind of looks like popcorn buckets, does it not? What are those in the background? And then there's straws stuck into those apples. I don't know what's going on with this label. It's a fun label. But this really should, in my mind, be an autumn fragrance. And would totally work for Halloween. So if you ever come across it in an outlet, or if you find it on eBay, that is one that you can burn for Halloween. If you're not happy with all the options that you have this year, at least know that that is one that you could probably find for an affordable price. And when you burn it, it rocks and rolls. Alright, the time has come, and then we'll get into the accessories. I'm going to show you something from my collection. And it does take a little bit of explanation. I gotta pull out some other candles here. I should have done this earlier, but Yankee Candle did make pillar candles at one point, and maybe they will again one day. But there's an evolution to these candles, and it's very important because when you're trying to identify how old a candle is, you really have to know the evolution of the looks of the candles and what was going on. In the earliest days of Sal Deerfield, the pillar candles, this is the oldest, and look, it doesn't even, oh, it does say Sal Deerfield. This is the oldest pillar candle by Yankee Candle I own, and honestly, the only place it says Yankee Candle is on the bottom there. Okay, And why this, I know this is a candle from 83, 84, is because this is before like printing was a really easy thing to do, you know. I'm guessing, you know, this predates my life, so you know, I can't give you a huge frame of reference, but this was a popular fragrance back in the day, and it's a beautiful candle. It still smells gorgeous. It's called Cape Flowers. It's a cacophony of beach florals, lavender, jasmine, a lot of like white tea notes in this candle. There's certain little holes in here where I can stick my nose in there, and it's very, very fragrant. But the earliest labels, if you check this out, this is really surprising. Okay, so this was obviously printed. It has a description of the candle, but the image is this, and I'm not kidding. That is hand colored with a color pencil. The earliest pillar candles, I'm not kidding, the labels were hand colored one by one with colored pencils. I mean, it's so easy to see. It almost looks like Crayola, and it's like smeared. But I mean, this just shows you, you know, how like the advancements of printing. So again, 1983, 1984 candle here. The next step. Let's go to the most recent pillar candles before they were taken away. Here's a good example. Here's a very in-demand fragrance to come back. Bay Breeze. This is a 9-inch pillar candle. Look at this monster, and it's just a smooth texture on the outside that'll be relevant in a minute. But essentially has the large label, and what I kind of find hilarious, this is kind of the same thing that we saw with the new labels, right? The keyhole labels, when we went from this to the thinner labels. Well, this is actually something that was going on really early on these pillars. So here's one. This one's a little bit older. Fireside. I actually gave one of these away. And I was happy to do so. But you see the ridges on this. That's going to let me know that it's a little bit older than this one, because the pillars eventually skipped the ripples. But this had the black band name on it. This all is going to make sense in a second. Trust me. After the hand-colored labels, they finally had multicolored printed labels produced, and here is fresh lilac. Look at the bottom there. No barcode. That tells you a lot. So I know this is like right around, just right halfway point, middle of the 80s, 1985, 86. But before this, we had a little bit of a lesser quality in the print, and again, the ripple. This has the black band, this Fireside has the black band label. This one that I'm about to show you has this design, the description and a little picture on top. And really, I want someone to show me an older Yankee candle. I want somebody, because I know there might be, but I think this is the oldest Yankee candle I've ever seen, and the fact that I own it makes it really special for me. This candle, my estimated, I feel like I'm on the Antique Roadhouse here. My estimated date for this candle would be 1987-ish, 1985 to 1987. It's called Halloween Candy, and check that out. I have showed this before on a live video when I first acquired it. We have the candy corn label, Halloween Candy, and I'll read that label in just a second, but notice the color. The top has that kind of color shift just like we would see on a piece of candy corn candy. It's two-tone. It doesn't have the three-tone, unless the yellow has faded. The candle reads, American youngsters of the early 1900s used Halloween as a night for mischief. Out after sundown, in disguise, they gleefully soaked windows, toppled outhouses, and swapped cows. Swapped. I've never used that verb before. Swapped cows between neighbors. I'm guessing they just... Why would you do that? You would move... Okay, you would take someone's cow and move it to another farm, and then... That seems very mean. Soaping windows, I understand. Trick-or-treating came to be as... Wow, I can't read that. Came to be as... It's a little bit faded there. I can't read that. Came to be something, not a night to wreak havoc. Nowadays, as little ones scurry between houses carrying sacks of loot, Halloween is a night of make-believe and fun. So very weird little tale, and maybe these are just like gleefully soaked windows, toppled outhouses, swapped cows. I never did any of those things. But maybe and you know, the mid 80s in New England, that's what they did. Anyway, well, it says right here in the early 1900s. Although I don't think trick-or-treating really became popular until anyway. But there it is. So this is really one of my prized pieces. It is fully sealed. I was not the original owner of this candle, but it was obviously taken very well care of. Even the nicks and the dents and the bumps are minimal. It's just amazing that this cellophane has just held itself together after all these years. So there it is. In the comments below when this video is uploaded, if you know of an older candle, now if you saw the black band Halloween candle that's simply just called Halloween and it's black, again, that's 90s, right? Or at the very, again, I mean, apothecary jars didn't pop up until the late 80s, so this would predate that. So although that classic black band jar with the jack-o'-lantern that just simply says Halloween, that is like the holy grail for a lot of people. Even though you guys are gonna die when you hear this, it sold on eBay for $24 back in April. But it was only up for so long, and it was a buy it now price. Somebody got that candle, it was half burned. Somebody got that candle for $24 because obviously the owner did not know what he had. That candle has sold on eBay, even years ago, it has sold on eBay for over $1,700. But to my calculations, this one is still older. Let's check in with you guys, and then we'll talk about some accessories, and then we'll see how things go here. Morgan says they would also open gates and farm animal enclosures. They were mild pranks. Look up Black Friday, Halloween, early 1900s. This is interesting. This is a topic that I'm not too... Oh no, Rianne says, address the super chat. Thank you so much. Where is it? And Travis with the super chat. So let me read it, because Rianne's got to go to sleep. Hey Shane, you have a new Patreon member. It's me, Rianne. Thank you so much. She's not only super chatted €2, but she's a new Patreon member. A huge shout out to Rianne. She's actually kind of found me through my brother's channel, the Eric Peter Carlson, or EPC Disney vlog. So, Rian, please go to sleep, and thank you for joining and staying up so late. Sorry to keep you up. But then Travis with the $10 super chat. That was a great segment, a brief history of Yankee Candle Halloween. You never disappoint these live shows. On a side note, I received my postcard, Rooster Cogburn, if I'm correct. Very, very cool. Thank you, Travis. Yes, I sent out postcards. I did a recent, if you haven't got yours yet, if you're a Patreon member, I did a recent postcard send out to those who fall into the $3 plus category. You know, you're only supposed to get one and one only, but I figured, you know, every few months I send them out. And I'll probably do Christmas cards as well. So thank you, Travis, for the super chat. Really, that money, like right there, that's a half a tank of gas. That's huge. And when I say half a tank of gas, I mean that's a half a tank of gas I'll be using when I'm going to Santa's Village this Christmas, or Stockbridge in November, or back to Sturbridge, or maybe even do Sturbridge in October this year. Going to a lot of different places. So all these super chats help fund the channel. Thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough. I mean, it truly does mean the world to me. Because, man, I'm doing what I can. Keep up with the cost of this show. And I want us to grow, you know? Okay, so accessory time. Good night, Rianne. And thank you again, Travis. And if anyone's interested in the Patreon, how you could help support the channel, I always have to kind of do a little promotion. You can check that out in the description below. There's a direct link. If anything, read it to get like a message, the mission of what I'm trying to do with this channel, long term. Read about it, and if you want to partake in some rewards, there's something for everybody. I think something for everybody on my Patreon account. Accessory time. So here's one. Somebody help me out with the name of it. I forget the name. And I know Doug from Spooky Villages is a big fan of this. And I remember having to call my local Yankee Candle when I was in California for them to hold on to one for me, because they only had one. And I knew it would be a big seller. And was it called Foggy Night? But it's essentially a tea tree. A tea tree. A tea light tree holder. And there's a fourth tea light that's not supposed to be there, but I usually light. And it looks like this. It's got bats, a wrought iron fence, not bats, it does have bats, trees, wrought iron fence, and ravens, but there's a frosted piece of glass that goes right, I should lift this up so you can see, it goes right on top. And as those tea lights flicker, let me turn this off. As those tea lights flicker, if it was really dark in here, you'd get the full effect. You truly get this. It looks like the bats are flapping their wings. It's a really cool accessory. Easily one of my favorites. It's a must, in my opinion, if you can get your hands on it. In fact, I remember seeing these at the outlet not too long ago for like $10 a pop, and I would have bought every single one, but I don't like shipping glass. I would have happily put them up on eBay, started them at 99 cents, but I would be so afraid of this breaking during the shipping process, so I never did it. But keep your eyes open for it. And I've mentioned this before, if you don't want to use this frosted glass, or if you just want to mix it up, you can use, I had that big Barney egg. Remember the Barney egg? I love using it for that, but you can use, well, you can't use it for that. If you have one of these monstrous, this is another one of my favorites, this is probably my favorites, yeah, the tea lights don't really work in here. at least with the lights on. This is one of my favorite jar holders. It's monstrous, this thing. This thing is huge. I have the biggest head in the world, and this is almost the size of my head. It was well worth the price, but it's this mosaic with the Edgar Allan Poe ravens, the branches. This came out in 2016. I almost bought the shade or the votive holder. I'm so glad I spent, what did it cost? $34.99 for this, and this did sell out. So I don't believe you would have been able to find this like in an outlet. This was an item that had to be purchased as soon as possible. And whenever I have this fully lit, sometimes I have to use an LED for it, because since it is such thick glass and it's like a stained glass, it needs a lot of light inside to really penetrate through the glass. But someone always comments on it, and so 2016, it was in my first Halloween preview party video. I even had to ask an associate their advice. I let them make up my mind. I was going to get the shade or the holder, and I'm so glad I went for the holder. So does this have a name? This doesn't have a name. It was very expensive, $34.99. That was an expensive little piece. But since I've never been a huge Boney Bunch person, not that I don't like Boney Bunch, you can see I have Scary Poppins over my shoulder, and the Bride and Frankenstein's monster up there. There's also a piece from last year, the clock, and that silhouetted piece there with the raven in the window. So I got some things over there. But let's talk about pre-Boney Bunch, before Boney Bunch was released, which would have been what year? 2007. Here we have an extremely old piece. Look at this little guy. Look at this little guy. This little trick-or-treater ghost, pumpkin head. He's just chilling. He's walking around in the grass with his sack of Halloween tricks or treats. And he's got look at that. He's got like a little ribbon around his neck. He's chilling. Looks like he's got some Crocs on, or clogs. Looks like, you know, what chefs wear in the kitchen. I don't know where I'm going with that, but this was a tea light holder, very small, very light piece, very delicate piece. There's even some spilled candy corn on there. I picked this up not too long ago on eBay. As soon as it was listed, I found it, I saw it, I took it, because I didn't collect stuff like this back in the day. This was, it had a name, but it's abbreviated, but part of the name was Pumpkin Ghost. What's really astonishing is the price. First of all, look at the branding on there, Yankee Candle, and the price tag is still on there, $4.99. Imagine going to Yankee Candle today and finding a little piece like this for $4.99. I love smaller pieces like this because this can easily fit into my storage, lock it up, and I mean, it's a little fragile, so you have to worry about it breaking. But one of the reasons why I'm showing you this, although it is one of my favorite newer pieces, is because the same year we had this beast. Look at this, a ceramic shade. Ceramic shades, if you've never used one before, they are amazing. They hold in the heat. They actually really do work. The glass shades are awesome. They're so pretty. The light shines through them. But I always found that the ceramic shades actually do the actual job that they're supposed to. They hold in the heat. And this is a panoramic shade of all of these pre-Boney Bunch, you know, trick-or-treaters. We have the witch and the mummy and guy, the top hat and the cat. And then we also have the same little guy. So look. So I wonder if all of these, you know, little ghouls and goblins on this shade were released separately as their own figurine. on this year. Let's see if I have a year here. Not only with the ceramic lids or the shades, you know, like they really worked. Like I said, they held in the heat. Look how big this is. It's a big shade. This is a really big shade. But they actually even got bigger than that. This is not Halloween, but look at this one. This must have been from a Goodwill. $4.99. Yankee Candle Company. The original price was $24.99 though, but look at the size of this shade. It's not Halloween, but if you thought that was big, this one is just, it's monstrous. So although I try not to buy shades, whenever I find an older one, I can't help myself. I certainly can't. And I have a gingerbread one that's down there. Can you see it? A gingerbread house. I bought that to put up on the eBay account to raise money, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't sell it. I couldn't part with it. Let's look at another Halloween shade. This one has been through an earthquake, but survived, but it had to be glued together. This was another shade, and come on, this is what made Halloween so exciting for Yankee Candle. Especially when I would go to the Yankee Candle Village, and you know, you really would, you know, you were seeing all these things in person for the first time. Let me pick a candle here. Let me pick a colorful candle. Let's take this guy here, and look at this shade here. It's a Bony Bunch shade, ceramic, really thick ceramic top hat. And if you look closely, you'll see some cracks on there. This one hit the ground, it smashed pretty hard. But man, this thing is super cool. Really, again, shades to me, I have a weakness for them because I really like them, but I just try not to buy them anymore. But this is one I could never part with. And if you find this at a good price, I highly recommend getting it because it's just such a great display piece. Even if you just take an empty Yankee Candle jar and put this on there, just for display purposes for Halloween, you don't even need to use it. It's just great for display. And this was, it doesn't have a price tag. I thought it did. But I remember getting this I remember I didn't have the money to buy this when it was originally released, but I did find this at a Yankee Candle outlet in Lake George, New York, for $10 during the summer months. And I should have bought every one they had. But then again, if I did, they probably all would be broken because of the earthquake. So let's finish up these accessories. Getting mighty close. What about Illumilids? Illumilids. I have a bunch of Halloween Illumilids, and I picked out my favorites. There was a really cool one that's in my video, my Yankee Candle Village preview party video. If you haven't seen that, check it out. There was only one option, but it was really like, it looked like it was like coated in urethane. It was very shiny. But here are my favorites. Two of them are very similar. We have these very gothic jack-o'-lantern guys here sitting in a pumpkin patch. But the stems and the leaves of this Illumilid kind of look like a wrought iron fence, and it's a very light color, so it looks like a you know in comparison, it's a lighter color. And this one's kind of similar, but a little bit more of a sleek design, not as gothic, but jack-o'-lanterns all the same. Very cool. Does anybody, you guys still use Illumilids? I still use Illumilids. This one is awesome. Cobweb with the little spider on here. This one, it didn't really function well, but man, it looks really cool on the candle. And speaking of that, where is the it wasn't really illuminolid, but it was the bat ears. It was like something that you would put around the neck of the candle, and it was the bat ears. It's somewhere here. I gotta start unpacking all my Halloween stuff. And then one more thing I have here to show you guys. Let's turn that back on. This looks like the one that was released from last year, but it's not. This was a 2015 haunted house. This haunted house was actually for sale, right? It was one of the big pieces, very expensive pieces, with the guy in the front door. And then we had the Flying Witch, which came, I have it right down there, it came in a shade, but it was purple. That was a good piece, but this, again, it was in those days of, that was the kind of the look of the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern on this particular year, 2015. This was in the days where this whole 360-degree thing was really super fun. Even though these are only a few years old, I feel like these pieces are just, they're just prized pieces. $22.99. I remember I bought this and this tea light tree. Foggy Nights, I think it's called Foggy Nights, I don't know. I bought those two together. And so let me turn to the questions. Let's address some of the guys that, you guys that are still here. And if you have any questions for me, because I really haven't had a chance, almost like every week, to keep my eyes on the comment section, and I apologize. And this video, I said to myself, I was going to try to do this in 45 minutes. How would I have done this in 45 minutes? It would have been impossible. You guys seem to be doing a lot of talking with one another, which is good, because I feel like I'm not neglecting. Oh, look. I think I just finished my only ghostly treats. This is going to go down in history, at least in my history. This candle, I think we finally reached the end. I have some wax in there that I can repurpose, but that's it. I won't be burning ghostly treats ever again unless they re-release it, because I'm not ever going to burn this candle right here. Look at that. Look at that. Just take a close look. Again, Haagen-Dazs, Rocky Road. Treat yourself. Next time you have a whatever, it's every Friday or once a month, treat yourself. Go out, buy the little pint of Haagen-Dazs Rocky Road and try it and taste that marshmallow sauce. I'm telling you, it tastes just like that marshmallow smells. Nancy, yes. I have your package. I do have your package. And I was going to open it up on the next live, but I forgot that this is... okay, Nancy, I'm going to open your package. I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to open it on camera, on a live, very soon. But I want to try to wrap this up, and I don't want to rush opening up that box. Maybe I will do a spontaneous live. Uda, is it Uda? Uda Slim? She's been doing a lot of Candle Enthusiast watching recently, and I do see your comments, and I deeply appreciate them. One in particular, I even took a screenshot because it was so very nice. But she asks, does ghostly treats smell like fireside treats? So, fireside treats and campfire treats, same candle, different names for US and UK. No, fireside treats is more of that. It's not smoky, but it has that caramelized, roasted marshmallow smell, and it really does smell like a marshmallow, like camping marshmallows. Where ghostly treats, like I said, it's more of this syrupy fluff, out of the jar fluff, or marshmallow syrup concoction that's always been so hard to describe. But I think, like I just said, Haagen-Dazs. If you have that, I'm not sure where you are. I know you're abroad, but I'm not sure where. But if Haagen-Dazs is distributed there, or if you can find some kind of marshmallow concoction, give it a try. Taste it. I still have a box of tarts and tea lights of ghostly treats, says Renee. Yeah, I mean, that's so awesome. I wish I still had mine. I just, I just assumed when I had that candle that it would make a return. It just wasn't present. No one was talking about it when it came out. Nobody was talking about it because it was so hard to find. It eventually it was very easy to find in tarts and votives and tea light holders. That even the village had. But the day I showed up, the opening day for the party, the jar wasn't there. And, you're welcome, Uda. Was it Uda? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I was almost about to tell you, enjoy those tea lights, but I don't know, maybe you want to hold on to them as a nice little token, as a nice little collector's piece of Yankee Candle history, because I don't know if they will bring that back. Hi Shane, says Jess KP. New to your channel. I love how you paint scent pictures with your description. So interesting and helpful. Do you have a fall or Halloween apple-based candle? I have so many. Do I have a favorite fall or apple-based candle? Yeah, I think, not to be ultra boring, but Yankee Candle's Macintosh. Let me get some extras. Since this video is already long, I'll show you some other little tokens that I have. Some very old Yankee Candle pieces. Let's see, where I try to have these hyper organized, and I can't find it, but oh, it should be here. Apple, where's Apple? I have a whole Apple section. And I still can't find it. Where would they put it? Alright. I can't find it right now, but I think you know it. Yankee Candle's Macintosh. Straight up Macintosh. It is, Macintosh apples are very near and dear to my heart because even where I live now, but when I grew up, I lived in apple country, and the majority of the trees that I grew up around were Macintosh apples. And what's great about Macintosh apples, they're early ripening apples so that you can pick them. They're actually already picked in my area right now. They're early ripening apples, but the skins are so fragrant. So I remember, if you're just walking to the bus stop when I was a kid in my neighborhood, I just remember that you just would smell the apples. I mean, we took it for granted. I mean, it just was normal for us, but the smell of Macintosh was omnipresent during the fall season where I grew up, and yeah, it's not the greatest apple for snacking on, but it's just great for baking and making treats and making applesauce. So the classic Yankee Candle Macintosh apple will always be my favorite, but in real life, believe it or not, I am a green apple fan. I like green apples. I like lower sweetness. I like brighter acidity. So Granny Smith is my favorite. So the Granny Smith apple is really, really nice, and that's, I'm a big fan of the Forbidden Apple for that reason too, because it essentially is the Granny Smith apple. But here's some other ones. One of an apple candle that predates Yankee Candle's Macintosh One that, you know, you think would have seen a return on many occasions and hasn't, was something called spiced apple. It was one of the very, very first fragrances, early 70s, and Yankee Candle. So in the days where before even Sal Deerfield was built, the village, spiced apple along with blueberry, along with roses of Cliff Walk. Is that the name? I always get the nouns and the nouns mixed up in that. Were among the very first fragrances. But here's a format. A lot of people have been asking if I own any Cannakins. I actually have actually a pretty large collection of Cannakins due to an actual donation to the channel. Huge shout out to Aaron if you're watching. Aaron, Trisha, oh my God, Trisha and Aaron. Let's put it this way: Trisha, Aaron, if you're listening, both of you have donated to the channel, and I make note of all this stuff, and I put them on post-its on the bottom of the jars. But I'm forgetting who gave the Cannakins at this point. I'm sounding like the worst host right now, but thank you to both of you, and one of you sent me some of your Cannakins, but I did have a selection of Cannakins, and you're like, I've said Cannakins like 15 times already, you're like, what the heck is a Cannakin? Here we go. So before we had apothecary jars, before we had the house warmer jars, we had something that really dates back to the late 19th century. Cannakins. This is essentially a paint can. Nothing different. This would be a large back in the day, and this was sold with wax inside. This one is empty, but take a look at that label, spiced apple, and it doesn't say Yankee Candle, but I assure you that is a Yankee Candle. This is right there. And what I find amazing about these candles, it says Cannakin ingredients. Can you read it? It says paraffin, natural, and essential oils. That's funny. Okay, that's funny for one reason. Oh, natural essential oils. Never mind. Natural essential oils? That's a little bit contradictory. I don't know what that means. I think I have another one that just says essential oils. And wick. Those are the only ingredients listed on here. But I do have quite a few of these. But spiced apple was a very powerful candle that was spiced up, because Macintosh and the Granny Smith or the Forbidden Apple doesn't have any baking spices in it. But spiced apple obviously did. And here it is in the Country Kitchen house warmer jar. So this Country Kitchen, this particular Country Kitchen label predates Black Bands. So this would have been mid-1980s right here. And although it doesn't say spiced apple, there would have been a little sticker right there that's missing, unfortunately, that says spiced apple. And the way I know is because these things are enormous. Even though they're so old, they're enormously potent. And that is spiced apple for sure. I know that fragrance was in production. There is no bottom to the lid. It's a little bit, the wax is a little bit loose, but it is still monstrously explosive. A treacherous burn on this. This definitely was Aaron. I apologize, Aaron, if I'm making fun of you, but I will eventually get around to fixing this. But with several different tunnel issues there. Even looks like there's a matchstick in there. But look how pretty that wax is. Really nice. So Country Kitchen, these are some pretty scents. And then kind of a recent UK release, Tart to Tan, which is just that oxidized, cooked down apple pie filling, apple pie crust. Bottom of the bottom of the apple pie, like the actual center bottom where it's still doughy and gooey, but also that crispy, crumbly crust. very savory, very buttery, very salty. This was a 2017, and the longest Yankee Candle name of all time. Let's see if I can name it. The longest Yankee Candle title of all time was the 2017 Cookie Swap Collection. It was called. Usually one of the nouns or adjectives are left out. Warm, let me get this right. Warm, fresh, is anyone? Warm, fresh, apple, cake cup. The longest name. Let's see if I can get a picture here. This is, it was just insane. It was almost like a joke. So here it is. Fresh baked apple cake cup. The longest name in terms of individual words. Fresh baked apple cake cup. To be honest with you, I thought warm was in there too. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. But that was essentially the U.S. kind of release of this candle, I think. It was speculated by several people. I couldn't confirm it one way or the other, but it's close enough where, yeah, it's essentially the same candle. But it did not come in paraffin. It came in a softer wax, in a smaller tumbler. McCall's Candles has Cannikin. So yes, Morgan, McCall's, I don't know how recently, but they just released what they call vintage, I don't know if they're calling them Cannikins, they're calling them vintage cans. And I am in love with the look. I actually contacted them myself, McCall's, and said, do you want to do a collaboration this year? And I unfortunately never did hear back from them, but I have been familiar with McCall's Candles for a long time. I remember I purchased my first McCall's Witch's Brew candle in Burbank, out of all places, which, in your neck of the woods, Morgan, at least closer to the East Coast, I purchased it at Halloween Town in Burbank, right on Magnolia Boulevard, that classic Halloween, well, there's the costume shop, but then there's the Halloween shop that's t-shirts and decor and stuff like that. But those cans are beautiful. Maybe next year. You know what I loved, says Renee? Fall Festival. It's somewhere on that shelf, Renee, and yes, oh man, I want to smell it now that you mention it. Fall Festival was a good one. I do remember it, and I do have it, and I have it, and it's unlit too. Tarte Tatin was, Nancy's like, you would love to have it. It was everywhere in outlets. This is a non-outlet one. I had to go through a couple hoops to get this one, but it was everywhere. And then somebody, someone made a video, must have made a video on it. I really can't remember who it was. It's not that I'm not giving someone credit, but someone made a video on it, and then it just disappeared. And then by the end of the summer, everyone wanted it, and I was just like, man, there was like 100 of them at every outlet I went to in the spring in 2017. But if you can't find it, like I said, the fresh baked apple cake cup. Do you know Blue Twilight Storm is a UK or US scent? I live in Ireland and found one for 50% off at a furniture shop last month. It was the only one there, and I've not seen it anywhere else since. So in the U.S., sadly, and I was kind of expecting it, but no one even addressed it. It just wasn't it just seemed like it just never was promoted. It just popped up in the catalog. So it was really just a catalog online exclusive for the U.S. I was gifted this candle by a dear friend of one of us here at the Candle Enthusiast, one of the loyal Candle Enthusiast followers, Chris. He found this in Oklahoma and sent it to me, Blue Twilight Storm. So the bottom line with Blue Twilight Storm is that in the U.S., okay, so in the U.S. there was a pop-up called Candle Power. Not the Candle Power like the video I just posted. There was a pop-up in New York City, a storefront that it was kind of an art show, an exhibition, or an exhibit, depending on how you want to think of it. And there was an exclusive fragrance there called City Lights. And they produced so many of these candles. And unfortunately, this event, even though I visited, I made a video, YANKEE Candle even retweeted the video. It was super fun and it was exciting. It was a full sensory, kind of immersive experience. It just didn't do well. I think it was just the way they were promoting it was very confusing. And I think people just still don't know what that whole New York City Soho pop-up was, unless they watch my video, because they never spelled it out. But it was an exclusive fragrance there, so what that means was that they had a lot of leftovers, so it went to the village, it went to the website. I think it's still available on the website. But then Blue Twilight Storm was leaked in this last spring, and I was so excited because this label, when I first saw this label, I really lost my marbles, because if you're a fan of It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, like me, I mean, even the artwork of that sky, it looks like the actual backdrops of It's the Great Pumpkin. So I was so excited, but then it quickly became apparent that this really, if it's not an exact duplication, it's very similar to that City Lights candle. So this did go to the UK. I don't know when it would have been released. I honestly don't know. To me, it's a little bit deceiving. It's not a pumpkin smell. It's not a pumpkin patch smell. To me, like, this does remind me more of, like I said, Trading Post, but like a shop that would sell incense, that has a lot of objects that are maybe essential oils and dried herbs, and again incense and cedar products. It has a very I'm trying to be accurate. Fortune teller-esque. I'm going to steal Spooky Village's descriptor, magic shop kind of smell. To me, I said Trading Post, because it does have a leather smell to it. I think it's a fantastic fragrance. I think it's a great candle. I think it's really intense, especially in this softer form. So I would get it, but know that, well, you probably, if you saw it in person, you probably would have smelled it. The label is a bit deceiving. Long answer to a very short question. Shane describes them so well. Shane, do you know of any scents, tarts, one could burn to get the effect of Fall Festival? That's why I wanted to smell it, because, to be honest with you, I don't think I ever burned it. Let me see. Give me a couple seconds to see if I can find it. Fall Festival. I found Macintosh. All right. So here we go. 2014 pour of Fall Festival. Let's see what this one's all about. On the label here, we have apples, we have the apple basket, we have some mini gourds. Let me peek at it. We have some corn, we have some leaves, and some kind of, okay, it's an apple press. In the background, I see like this metallic, like band, like an iron band, like an iron mason. But so it would be an apple press. So All right, so big on clove, caramel, allspice, not much cinnamon, and then the nutmeg does give it a little bit of woodiness. Is there any wood though? It has that. It's very similar to. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so I think what you can do here. This is put me on the spot, but I think this would be pretty cool. If you've hunted down, you're not gonna find. They don't make it anymore. Pumpkin wreath. They don't make it anymore, but whenever I go to an outlet, I find like hundreds of them. If you burned pumpkin wreath, it's a little bit of like a Fruit Loops thing happening here. It's really interesting. And apple pumpkin wreath, and this might be overkill. But I would definitely try it. Harvest. So harvest, apple pumpkin, and pumpkin wreath. Try to figure out what that Fruit Loop trick cereal thing is. Usually when I smell it, it's lemon verbena. But I don't think lemon verbena would find its way in here. Very nice candle. Have you folks burned this? If so, what are your thoughts? Leave that in the comments below. That is when the comment section is open. So that's my thought. So one more time: harvest, pumpkin wreath, and apple pumpkin. And even if you just find two of those and burn it together, that might work for you. Midsummer's Night is an autumn staple for me, so we talked about that earlier. So, okay, so that's kind of confirmation. So melodic, we talked about that before, how Yankee Candle kind of offers Midsummer's Night as a viable option for Halloween. And Renee, you're very welcome. I think especially pumpkin wreath. I think you'll really dig that one because it's kind of got that savory, gourd, like pumpkin butter smell, and it's sweet and it's spiced up. The apple pumpkin will just increase the apple, because there's no apple in the pumpkin wreath, and the spiciness, the kind of like baked, I always describe it as like baked pear of harvest, will kind of round out the spices. Right? Remember, Renee's saying, remember to hit the like button. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that. So, any last questions before we sum this up? And I have to clean up all of this. I want to show you, but the camera is way over there. So many candles just thrown about, and it's destroying my OCD at the moment. Any last questions? Or if anybody missed something and wants to see it again real quick, or if I was confusing regarding anything, I'm gonna get some water. I always inevitably forget to show something. This sold out instantly in 2016. They brought it back in 2017. But this was going on eBay for enormous amounts of money in 2016 because it sold out super quick. I'm sorry, but that is okay, right off the bat, it looks like, it reminds you of It's the Great Pumpkin, you know, when Lucy and, you know, Sally and Pigpen and and Charlie Brown, they all go trick-or-treating together. But then I really thought about it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this reminds me of something much more specific than that. Who is familiar with Garfield's Halloween Adventure? During the musical sequence, where Garfield sings, what's the name of the song? I'm not a scaredy cat. I'm no scaredy cat. It's one of those. He's walking down the street with Odie. He's got the trick-or-treat bag. He's dressed as a pirate. He's singing, I'm no scaredy cat. There's a moment in that sequence where he comes across a trick-or-treater wearing something just like this, and then he's got like these like beastly monster feet when he kind of lifts up the sheet a little bit. And then as Garfield runs away, the ghost looks into the camera and makes that kind of expression. I know it's not an expression, they're just holes, but it's kind of a confused look, right? Like, huh? Huh? What? Say what? You know what I mean? Like, it has that look to it. And man, like, I knew, when I first saw it, I was thinking it's the Great Pumpkin, but it really did remind me of the Garfield special. Am I alone in that observation? And it came in a smaller size too. Renee says my son loved that episode. Yeah, it was in 1987, I believe. That came out. That was a staple of every Halloween in my life. Whether it was on TV or we'd watch it taped on a VHS. And I always put it on. As soon as I watch, every year, my annual viewing of It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, usually when that's over, I'll put on Garfield next, because the two go together. The one thing I'm not is a scaredy cat. See, Laura knows what I'm talking about. The music in that special, come on, man, it's really good, right? Hi everyone, I know I'm late to the party, but I wanted to pop up and say hi anyway. That's Rhonda. Hi Rhonda, thank you for joining in. I totally like the Garfield special. I agree. I own it on DVD, says Laura. You got everything on DVD, Laura. What are you talking about? She's got like every Disney movie known to mankind. Glowing ghosts are still available in Germany in both sizes. Well, that's cool. Good to know. Both sizes are awesome. I just went with the large because I usually don't go crazy with the accessories. Only because I try to control myself. I noticed you don't talk about melt cups. Do you like them? Stephanie, especially for people that have kids and have pets, and I am a dog owner now, Elsa, she's not with me. I would never let her near these candles, but I'm sure she's taking her afternoon or evening nap now. So I think it is it's an affordable way for people to burn Yankee Candle, or melt Yankee Candle. And please don't take this the wrong way, anybody. It's just my personal preference. To me, burning candles, whether it be replacing, the flame with a lamp, or melting tarts, or the melt cups, it just doesn't. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea. Now, if I had a very large house, I don't own a large house. I never did. And even in my biggest apartment that I ever owned, I don't, my Yankees are always sufficient. But if I had a very large house with very tall ceilings, and I was having people over, and I really wanted to, efficiently really pump out fragrance, I would certainly utilize them. But, candle burning has always been a personal thing for me, just me. Even when I have guests, I sometimes don't even burn candles because not everyone enjoys candles. So it's, I have nothing against them. I just don't
I've just never taken that avenue. I just never taken that avenue. I like flame. I like flame. I like candles, and I know a lot of you too. Some of my fondest friends on the interwebs, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, people that I've met through this channel, fans. You know, they are from the school of I buy a candle, I burn that candle, I finish that candle, I move on to the next candle. As you can see, I mean, a lot of my candles, like this for example, this got me through 4 years. 4 years. It just went out now. I don't look at a candle like it's got to be finished immediately, and I never rush it. You know, to me, it's like when I go up to my Yankee Candle collection. I kind of want to turn the camera, but I don't want you to see it. But you guys have seen it before. I have about, I recently counted, I have 223 large Yankee Candle house warmers. And large for the exception of the medium Halloweens. And a lot of them, so when I want to burn a candle, I come in and I look, they're categorized, they're cataloged like you would find in a library. And like a library, I pick one out that, you know, I want to escape to, you know. If it's a hot July day and I want to escape to Christmas or something wintry, I'll grab that candle. But I don't burn a candle till it's gone. And purposely try to finish it up. And to be honest with you, you guys would laugh if you actually saw the number of candles I've actually finished in my lifetime. The lower it gets, the less I burn it. So I just, usually I'll just rather give them away at that point. If someone likes them, I'm trying to thin it out because really, I don't know if I'll live as long as all of the hours it would take to burn all of these candles, not to mention all of my non-Yankee candles that are here in my office. So great question. Does anyone else watch Rich Lux? I don't, unfortunately. I do thrift. I've never tried milk cups, says Renee. Hi, Shane, says Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Rebecca Chandler. Perfect last name. Chandler. Does anyone know what Chandler, you know what that is, right? It's a master candle maker. Chandler. It derives from the word chandelier. Right? I like the flame too. It imparts a cozy feel. And not to sound like cultish, like it's a cult, but it's like a ritual, right? It's like I compare it to putting on a CD versus putting on a CD. Even that is retro now. Or I swear I almost just said iPod too. Like saying, "Hey Siri, play so and so," and then a music plays. Versus putting on like the Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd album, vinyl LP, putting that on the turntable and sitting back. It's a different experience than listening to it off your computer or your home sound system. I've always been, even when I was in high school, which was not when it was a popular thing, I've always had a fondness for vinyl. So I think there's a romantic side, like I said, to the whole burning the candle and the you know, trimming the wick and watching the candle burn, make sure it's burning properly, and kind of catering it and watching it, enjoying it, and having it set a mood and an atmosphere and letting the aroma take me away, and again, setting the tone for that evening or morning. I never tried them. I used to sell Scentsy and still have a lot of it. I do have a lit candle. I do love a lit candle. I butcher your guys' comments, I apologize. I watch Halloween Town and Twitch's movies the day of Halloween, plus the Scooby-Doo Halloween movies. I love it. I should do a whole video on classic Halloween specials, television specials. I love the atmosphere of candles too, but I've been really into using my warmer lately. Awesome, Julianne, high five. I mean, really, I don't discriminate. I mean, do what you feel. And what's great about using the warmer, whether it be a melt cup or a tart, I mean, you can go out, especially like semi-annual sale, and buy like 50 different fragrances. I mean, that's just crazy. I like candles too, Shane. Very relaxing and comfortable. I love flame too, but I also like the timer for the centerpieces. You know what? Honestly, if I knew I could buy a centerpiece, like Yankee's centerpiece, and not get hooked into the melt cups, I might buy one. But the thing is, as soon as I buy a centerpiece, it's over. Like, I'm gonna start buying melt cups, especially in the whole semi-annual sale situation. Like, I think someone was saying recently, Anne posted in the Facebook group about, I'm looking for Haunted Hollow and melt cups, and I'm like, oh my god, I saw like 7 dozen of them in one outlet only a couple months ago, and I'm sure they're gone. I used to have a ton of Barry Manilow on LP. I saw Barry Manilow live, Nancy, and he was awesome. I spent a lot of time in Atlantic City when I was like in my teenage years, because, you know, whether it be, you know, uncles and aunts and grandparents, they like to gamble in Atlantic City. And when you're a teenager in Atlantic City, you have 2 places to go. To go see the free show, or to hang out in the arcade. And I did both. But during those years, because they spent so much time, and at the time it was Merv Griffith's casino, the Resorts, the oldest casino on the boardwalk. They spent so much time there that they would just get free tickets to all these shows. So I saw like the Beach Boys, I saw Barry Manilow, I saw Neil Sedaka, I saw Rich Little, a bunch of people. I mean, I was just so young too. Like, I didn't even realize how great the advantage was of seeing all these people. Not to get off the topic of Halloween, I need to watch it. I'm trying to save the Friday the 13th movies, specifically for Friday the 13th. I'm probably going to watch Halloween again. Yeah, so John Carpenter's Halloween for me is always on Halloween night or the week of Halloween. And then Friday the 13th to me, just because I think they take place during the summer, to me they're late night summer movies. Like when I was a teenager or even younger, I would stay up late during the summers and be swimming in like the neighbor's pool, hanging out with all the neighbor friends, and we go to someone's house and we put on the Friday the 13th movies, or they'd be on TV, a marathon. So Friday the 13th to me was always more of a summer thing. Shane, please do a video on classic Halloween specials. I will somehow address it. I love your name, Chat Noir 13. I will certainly, whether it be on the Facebook group, which is a great way for me to promote the Facebook group right now. I've never been a big Facebook group fan. I've just never been a Facebook person. It's weird. I'm not even a big Twitter person. I've always just gravitated. I like Instagram. Of course, I like YouTube. As many of you know, the Facebook group is the Candle Enthusiast official Facebook fan group. It's a long name, but it's over a year old now. And if you're interested in talking about like stuff like that, like Halloween specials, that's what's great about our group. It's not just about candles. It's about everything nostalgic. So it's definitely the main focus is candles, but we talk everything from movies to music to healthy living to travel and tourism. So just go over to Facebook and request to join. Again, it's the Candle Enthusiast fan group. Request to join, and if you're not like a creepy, evil, mean, malicious person, we'll be happy to have you. None of you are malicious. Shane, have you been to the Great Blaze in Cortland, Hudson Valley? It's actually, it's Croton. It's Croton on Hudson. And yes, I did a video there last year. So look that up, Renee. It was really cool. I actually I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name. Rob, kind of the kind of the director of the event. I got to meet him, spend some time with him, and they really gave me. It's so hard to make a video in the dark, but they really went to large lengths to help me out to photograph the event. It was a really good time, so definitely check that video out. Just type in Candle Enthusiast, The Blaze. You'll need to elaborate on the tombstones. Trying to understand that comment, Laura. Okay, here we go. Going to cut tombstones. Have a great Sunday. I'm guessing you're carving them out of styrofoam or some kind of material. That sounds awesome, Laura. Have a great time. I love Mad Monster Party. Mad Monster Party is one of my favorite. Full-length feature. I think it's the only full-length feature made by the classic Rankin and Bass stop-motion animation company. Same folks that made Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Little Drummer Boy. And Mad Monster Party featured quite the cast. And yes, that will always go down as a classic. It's on my list to watch. It's not really a special though. I mean, that's a full-length movie, or at least by animation standards. Renee agrees with the Friday the 13th and summer thing. Heart Queen, you'll need to elaborate on the tombstones, says Morgan. I think she's going to carve them out of styrofoam. Never seen them, not a horror fan. That is okay, Gadget Geek. That is okay. Because we'll be talking about Christmas specials when the time comes. So if you don't like horror films, we'll be talking about Christmas films soon enough. After October. Please join the Facebook fan group, guys. Just search Candle Enthusiast fan group on Facebook, says Nicole. Nicole is one of the moderators of the Facebook group and a dear friend of mine. Like I said, very nice people. I don't run the fan group. The whole show is put on by a group of folks that have become very dear friends of mine. Right. The video always, or the comments always jump on me, and I lose my place. My favorite is Bram Stoker's Dracula or House of a Thousand Corpses. So we got a little Rob Zombie, and we got a little bit of Francis Ford Coppola action. Oh wow, I would like to join the group. I stay off Facebook for the most part. This is join. Yeah, this is it's exactly, Renee, it's how I feel. I'm not a big Facebook person. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. If you actually look my personal profile up, it's on private, but it doesn't matter because I just never post anything on my private Facebook account. But usually the only time I use Facebook like groups was for professional purposes, but having this group be in my life for the past year is just, it's great. It's great to wake up and go to sleep with hearing comments about my videos, or just you know, honestly, maybe even the majority of the people in the group don't even know who I am. They're like, who's this person? His pictures everywhere. You know, they're part of the group because of the group, not necessarily because of me. Trick or treat is a Halloween must, not to be confused with trick or treat. If you're referring to, who's this? Maiden of Darkness, I want to talk to you. When was it called trick or treat? Are you referring to the candles? Because both candles, both forms, I always remember the or being in there. I could be wrong. And you may just be talking about like trick-or-treating in general. Nancy says, the Blaze video is amazing. Thank you, Nancy. Nancy, again, Nancy's been with me. Nicole's been with me from the very beginning. A lot of you folks have been with me from the beginning. And it's amazing how far we've come. Boris Karloff, yes. Gotta love Boris Karloff. And don't forget, Boris Karloff did the narration and was the voice of the Grinch. Did you guys know that? And How the Grinch Stole Christmas? I think some people don't know that. Phyllis Diller, yeah, Phyllis Diller is just like, I don't think anybody of my generation, but since I had older brothers, and I like, my grandmother was like a good friend. I'd hang out with my grandma. I just was exposed to like you know, a lot of older television that was really before my time. And Phyllis Diller, you know, she'd always be, was she ever on she was on Carson, right? But she'd be on a lot of like the game shows, like as one of the celebrity guests. And then she, just a hilarious person in general. Energy. Did anyone ever see Witches Night Out? Okay, this is a great time for me to bring it up. Christmas or Halloween specials, Witches Night Out. If you have not seen this, or if it's been like years, the main, probably the only big name on it at the time it was released was Gilda Radner. It's a must. You got to see it. It's so weird. It's a cell animation special that's like 20 minutes, and some of the animation is very simplified. It's very simple. Like they use a lot of techniques to speed the process up. But it's such a good special. But it's so weird. It's just weird. Like weird choices. It's almost like somebody was on some kind of drug making that film. It's just very, very strange in a great way. And what's her name? I love her, and I can't think of her name. The wonderful voice of Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. My poster used to be hanging there. I can't look at the name. What's her name? And all those great comedies and Beetlejuice. You guys will come up with her name, but she does one of the voices in it as well. But she really wasn't popular at the time. Witches Night Out, check it out. Don't forget Hammer Horror Films. Of course, Hammer Horror Films, again, one of my favorites. I think one of my favorite Dracula films. It's so hard to pick, but would be The Blood of Dracula, Christopher Lee. Just, to me, that, like, I grew up watching Bela Lugosi's Dracula. I grew up watching Nosferatu, both the original silent and the 78 Herzog remake. But really, Dracula, to me, growing up, Dracula in physical form was always Christopher Lee, and Blood of Dracula is just It's spooky, it's gothic, it's creepy, it's very Edgar Allan Poe. Like, it just, I mean, Hammer Horror made a lot of Edgar Allan Poe stories into films, but it has that, it looks like what you would imagine, the Hammer Horror films, they look like what you would imagine Edgar Allan Poe was seeing in his head when he was writing his work. I tried to watch Witches Night Out, bizarre, so that sounds like Stephanie didn't make it through it. It is bizarre. A character, when you have a character and his name is Bazooey, you know you're in for something. Erica saying Phyllis was your first crush? Eric, you never fail to amaze me, and I am laughing inside. That is hilarious. Not that I disagree. I mean, I guess I can see that. I don't think that would be a typical first crush. I love it, Eric. Anyone remember the Witch movie? Of course, the Witch movie, Angelica Houston. So all the special effects produced by Jim Henson Studios. That was like, I remember seeing, they showed me that movie in the second grade. Which, the movie is called Witch, or Witches. It was based on a Roald Dahl novel, the gentleman who did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach. But very dark, very scary film, and I can't believe they would show us these movies in grade school at such a young age. And even on top of that, I remember being in preschool and them showing us Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is not that bad, but there's some very, very terrifying moments. Large Marge is not something a 3 or 4-year-old child that scene is not good. And they wonder why my generation have so many mental issues, riddled with anxiety. House of Blood was good, yes. Peter Cushing, yeah, Peter Cushing was in a lot of the Hammer Horror films. Back in the day, my brother had a wax museum, a haunted house wax museum in Salem, Massachusetts, and he actually had they weren't really wax, they were made out of silicone. It's kind of, they're more durable. They look a little bit more realistic, flesh-like, and easier to paint. But he had, I guess it was a wax museum, but it was really all the figures are made of silicone. But he had a Peter Cushing and a Christopher Lee Dracula, and it was such a cool museum. Catherine O'Hara, thank you, Stephanie. Catherine O'Hara. I'm so bad at remembering things. Chris Sarandon, Fright Night. Yeah, Chris Sarandon, I think, is one of the most underrated. I mean, if you've seen Princess Bride, if you've seen Child's Play, the original Child's Play, Chucky, amazing movie. I mean, the other ones are funny and they're fun to watch, but the first one is terrifying. Chris Sarandon, and then Fright Night, directed by Tom Holland, who directed Child's Play, the original Chucky film. Fright Night is just one of my favorite horror films. It's campy, it's funny, it is terrifying, it is gory, it is gruesome, and it is so 80s. And I don't understand where they got the idea for Chris Sarandon for Jack Skellington. Tim Burton had never worked with Jack Skellington. Nobody from the cast that I know of was friends with Chris Sarandon. But how could anybody else voice Jack Skellington other than Chris Sarandon? I mean, maybe Danny Elfman, who was the singing voice, could have pulled it off. But yeah, so Rachel says, oh wow, I always assumed Danny Elfman voiced Jack. So Danny Elfman was the singing voice of Jack Skellington. But weirdly, they both have the same kind of cadence in their voice. I don't know if Danny Elfman just wasn't confident in his acting abilities, which I'm guessing is what it came down to. But I don't know where Chris Sarandon came from. Like that's just a complete random choice. It's kind of like if it weren't for Beetlejuice. Well, no, let's use Beetlejuice. Like how Michael Keaton Beetlejuice? How did that come to be? Tim Burton, Michael Keaton were not friends. They had never worked together. Michael Keaton, like, the way the part was described to him was so much different than what it turned out to be. Michael Keaton just said, like, look, make me up as Beetlejuice, and I'm just gonna come on the set, and I'm gonna try to get through this. It may be disastrous, but there's this interview with Michael Keaton where, like, they said by the end of the first day, the whole crew would chant "Juice, Juice, Juice" as he was coming onto the set, because he went from being this kind of element of the film Beetlejuice to being like the face, the main character of the film. Really, the film is not about Beetlejuice. Right? He's not even in it that much. But the character became the face of that film because it was just such a great, wild, out of left field performance. I remember seeing Witches at a very young age and being terrified. It's still terrifying to watch. And that's why it's like, people when they think of Jim Henson, they're like, Jim Henson, Sesame Street. But then you think about, wait a minute, Jim Henson, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, there's some really scary stuff in there. Maiden of Darkness, I go to Salem, Massachusetts all the time. I got engaged there. So if you go there all the time, if you ever remember Terror on the Wharf, Salem Witch Mansion, not museum, Salem Witch Mansion, the Edgar Allan Poe, Nathaniel Hawthorne Museum, and the Hollywood House of Wax. Those are 4 businesses that my brother owned in Salem, and I spent a lot of time there helping kind of fabricate these places, especially the Wax Museum. I would take weekends off at college. I went to college in Brooklyn, New York, my first round of college anyway, and then during the weekends I would drive from Brooklyn all the way to Salem. And I remember one time, a story I always tell, that I left my Yankee. I'm not a big baseball person, but I had a Yankee hat. I was in Brooklyn, and I've always lived in New York, or at least the majority of my life. So I had a Yankee hat, and I'd always forget to take it off. But there was one time I met my brother in like a pub in like in the outskirts of Boston, and I forgot to take off my Yankee hat. I walked in a Boston pub with a New York Yankees hat on, and I even think the Boston game was on. And it's one of those classic movie moments when like the jukebox just like came to like a screeching halt, and I started seeing all these like mad, evil, angry faces, and I quickly realized what the problem was. Lost Boys, another great one. Michael Keaton's awesome Trilogy of Terror. The Evil Little Zulu Doll. Did Adam do it? Oh, he did. Adam the Woo. I'm a huge fan of Adam the Woo. I think you guys all know that. He just did a Lost Boys location video. I'm so glad he did, because, like, growing up, I always thought it was Santa Monica. And I remember the first time I went to Santa Monica, I was, like, heartbroken, because I realized the Santa Monica Pier wasn't the pier from the film. So, very cool, very cool. Well, I think this is a perfect time to wrap things up. Thank you for all of you for joining in on what was supposed to be a shorter live video, but turned out to be a lengthier one. If by chance this video doesn't go live on this channel, well, you wouldn't know this. if you want to watch this later, this video might actually pop up on my secondary channel. I have 2 channels. This is the Candle Enthusiast, but Aromatically Speaking is my live channel. So what I might do, because this wasn't supposed to be a long video, I might actually upload this video, or at least leave an edited version of this video on the main channel, but put the full video on Aromatically Speaking. So if you're not subscribed to Aromatically Speaking, type that in on YouTube, subscribe. It's where I do all of my live videos, most of them anyway. And I want to thank everyone for joining in and just spending some time talking about Yankee Candle Halloween, keeping it positive, keeping the celebration of Halloween and Yankee Candle and aroma alive. And also talking about some other passions as well, like Halloween specials and films and stuff like that. Thank you all. A special thank you to the moderators for joining in today, keeping this a safe space for all of us. I always appreciate that. I'm going to sign out. I'm going to get to work. I have a lot of Halloween candle videos that just need to be edited. They're filmed, they just need to be edited. If you guys know me, that just takes time. It takes me time to do it. But they are coming, and you're going to want to see it, because these are small craft candle companies, the majority of the videos, and I'm so happy to finally highlight these small batch candle companies. And I might even have some more Witch's Brew for you guys in the near future. Witch's Brew, Witch City Wicks for you guys in the near future. Because I'm looking at a whole bunch of Witch City Wicks candles right now, and I haven't reviewed them. So thank you all for joining. I will be seeing you soon. Make sure you check out the description below for the Patreon link, a way to help out the channel, also to join the Facebook fan group. Also the link for Aromatically Speaking, the second channel. If you need to contact me for any reason, it might take some time. That's always a great way to do it, by sending me an email in the description below. And make sure you follow me on all social media platforms to be up to date with what I'm doing, where I am, and what I am up to. Thanks again, everybody. Have a wonderful Sunday, and I will be seeing you soon. I'm signing out. It's going to be hard because I have to reach around the camera. I have to walk off screen. So goodbye, guys. Bye-bye.